everybody, Dave here in the workshop. We have a new project. These are the Empire Grenadier 7000M. And M, turns out, stands for marble. Marble is the travertine marble tabletop. These were marketed and sold as end tables you could put anywhere in your room, fill the room with sound. We're going to take a look at later about Empire, the ads that they had for this, the marketing materials. My story, Empire at the time was primarily a turntable company, and some of their turntables, even today, are highly sought after, I've learned. The story behind this pair, I was driving around last week, saw an estate sale, pulled in, saw a big pile of albums and 45s, and finally got to the room that had the gear in it. It was a 90s Marantz amplifier, and then I walked in the living room and I saw these, and at first I didn't even realize they were speakers, because I had not seen the Empires before. And I later realized, well, those are speakers. I wasn't sure what they were, and so I asked the lady if she knew about them, and she said, no, not really. They were my father's. She took a picture on her phone, and she knew how to use Google, so she said, well, these are Empire Grenadier 9000s. And I said, okay. She goes, oh, they go for hundreds of dollars. I said, well, do you know if they work? She said, no, I don't know. So I wasn't sure myself if I wanted to deal with them. I ended up buying the amp and left. And after when I went home, I did some more research, and I realized from the picture that I took that they weren't the Empire Grenadier 9000s, which were the high-end version of this. These are the 7000s. They had a little different casting plate with the woofer and tweeter, looked a little fancier, but they were fairly highly regarded. Nice warm sound, the reports were, and there's getting to be less and less of them, as you can imagine. They were furniture, they got banged around. We'll take I've opened the other one up already, and we'll take a look at the inside. It was sitting unused, obviously, for quite some time. So you can see we've got a wood refinishing project, we've got a marble refinishing project for this travertine top, made in Portugal. A nice label on there, made in Portugal. Generally it's in good shape, no staining. We're going to have an electronics project. It's got old caps in it, so we'll change all of those. I did plug them in and played them, and they sound warm, as you might expect. But it's going to be a fun project. I found a YouTube video from an Italian guy who has a pair of these. Well, he has the 9000s, I think, in piano black. It looked really cool. So I thought maybe we need to do something to bring these out of the 60s, or yeah, I'm assuming late 60s on these, maybe early 70s. I think we need to maybe consider upscaling the finish a little bit when we redo them. So let's take a minute and go through the internals of this, and then we can talk a little bit more about our plan of attack. There's going to be some refoaming, new caps, refinishing, marble finishing. So I want to make them glow. Now we need to really think more about how to do the refinishing. I think that's going to be a key for these to make them attractive for today's modern decor. Now somebody who's going to want true mid-century modern probably wants them like this, but I don't think there's too many of those folks out there. All right. Let's dig in. Well, we've now done our first level of disassembly on our Empire 7000 Grenadiers. First thing that we've done is remove the base. 7 screws for that. These are these screws, the longer ones. And once those 7 screws are removed, we can lift off the bottom plate here. Now, at some point in the past, somebody cut this bottom part of the wood ring, which is part of the base, probably to run their speaker wires in on a carpet or hard floor, perhaps. It's unfortunate. They probably didn't have to do that. There are some standoffs here that they could have used, but they didn't. So after that came off, that leaves us with the woofer sitting in the opening, and that was held on by 8 of these. So, lost one down there. You can see the woofer is in bad cosmetic condition. Don't hear any voice coil rub at all, but like other forums have said, because it's been sitting, upside down, face down for so many years, I do believe that it's not in its normal position, and the foam also feels a little questionable, so we'll probably end up doing a refoam on those. Once you pull that driver, and that's what the bottom side of that looks like, so you can see it. Once you pull the driver, you're exposed to the crossover. You've got a couple of nicely made inductors and 4 caps. The one on the left is 25, 2, 0.5, and 70. I don't have the values on the inductors, but we'll look that up. I also haven't unsoldered anything. There's no fast-ons or anything like that. Everything's point-to-point soldered, so that'll mean we'll have to do some disconnecting. And as you know, we have a high-frequency control switch, normal, decrease, increase, so we'll have to take a look at how that's configured for the crossover. So down in the bottom there, you see I've pulled off the mid-range tweeter. Those are held in. That whole mid-range tweeter assembly is held in with these clamps and a nut. Let me come around so you can see that a little better. Here is that assembly. So it's got the 4 studs in the corners, and we have mid-range and tweeter, 3 wires. One's feeding the mid-range, one's feeding the tweeter, and then a common ground for both. So this is a die cast. I haven't checked to see if it's aluminum yet or zinc, but you can bet this thing is heavy. And I'm not going to remove the emblem, but we're going to take some photos here, and so we have some good records and details of how everything was configured. And I'll see if I can go online and find a crossover diagram for this unit, and if not, perhaps we'll have to create one, and then we'll start doing some disconnecting so that we can take some better measurements. I neglected to mention there's this, the crossover sitting on what looks initially like a shelf, but you can see there's a piece of plywood going across, and then it goes down to the bottom, but it doesn't go all the way to the bottom. There's a chamber here which has a slot port all the way across, so I'm not sure what to make of that. There's no drivers inside that, but that is where these little button vents, we have one button and one vent here, are inside that chamber area. I initially thought we were going to do some new surrounds on these, but as I started cleaning them up, I realized these are cloth surrounds, and I think instead we're going to redope them. They look to be in overall good condition. Before we redope them, we need to clean them. My process for cleaning, I took a little water first. You do have to be careful about solvents on these. I use duct tape, so I make little rolls of duct tape like this. This one I've already used. This is a clean one. And you go around here and it literally pulls the dust and dirt and fibers and hairs right off. You can kind of roll it, it seems to be about the only way you can do cleaning. Now, when we come along and put the dope on here again, it will, you know, soften what material's left, and then it will then I don't want to say harden, but re-solidify. But I don't want to re-solidify all of these fibers and hairs in there. I want to try to clean a lot of it off if I can. So that's the process here, and we'll just work our way around. We'll just roll our little tape rolls and try to get this as clean as we can. All right, just a quick tip for you. One more point here. I can see that and feel that some areas have had the dope removed. The dope is not as present. You take just put a little force downward here, and you can see right in this zone right here, I get more deflection in that surround. So that means there's a lot less dope there, and we need to get it back up to a more uniform stiffness all the way around. And we'll do that when we reapply. Maybe the stiffer areas will get softer, but this area will firm up after the stuff has a chance to dry. You can just feel that there's no material there.
We've had other videos where we've shown the redoping process. I didn't show that here, but I wanted to show you the final result. If you need the material, you need to go to eBay and buy it from Vintage AR. Works great.
We are mid-process now on replacing caps. I just wanted to show you how we're doing that. This is a 10 and a 15 together to make 25. This is a 2, and you can see we've stacked them, we've hot glued them together, and then soldered them in. And the 2 is just hot glued straight to the crossover plate there, which is just a piece of masonite. So we still have to put in the 70 and the 0.5, and we'll do that shortly. But I just wanted to show you how we're doing that. I'm not going through the whole process on this video, but wanted you to at least be aware. Let's start our sidebar with a little history about Empire Scientific, the maker of our Grenadier speakers. We'll start here with 1969 stereo review and take a look at some ads. All right, here's our Grenadier 7000. It's our exact model, marble top. Got some of the specs listed here. I love this section right here, and you don't even have to put up a shelf for it. I like that. The Endtable feature was a big selling point for them. If you move ahead to October 1970, here's another Empire ad for Grenadier speakers. In this case, it's the 9000, which was the more expensive model. Had a 15-inch woofer, not a 12-inch. High-powered, wide-angled, and beautiful. So I guess that has to do with her leg positioning is also wide-angled. Very interesting. And here, again, they need not be placed in corners or against walls. You don't have to sit where X marks the stereo spot. So that was a key point for them. 1969 stereo review. We have an actual review and test report with data of the Empire 7000. So this is a very good detailed article, lots of data, gets into a little bit more about how the speaker's constructed, the theory and concept behind the speakers. They do a variety of tests with data, and they talk about the data, talk about the impact of the high frequency switch that we have to boost or decrease the tweeter level. Then they also talk about the plugs that we've seen in the box in the case. Model 7000 has what Empire terms the dynamic reflex stop system, and they claimed they measured, oh no, this according to Empire, you get 1 dB of boost for every plug you remove. So that's kind of interesting, and we'll see if we can test some of that with ours. There are 4 plugs in each speaker, and I have 3 of them are plugs and 1 is a grill, so I don't have a 4th plug anyway. We had previously looked at, I'm assuming, the 6000 and the 9000 model, and they had mentioned that in their reports they expressed a somewhat qualified or guarded approval. However, in the case of the model 7000, there are no qualifications. We like it. So I think they found that the 7000 performed better. Another good source of information about Empire and specifically about the Grenadier speakers is in this PS Audio blog by this guy named Bill Liebens. He gets into the beginning of founding of Empire by Herb Horowitz, who we'll see in a minute. But obviously, they're more well known for their turntables, and so the first part of the blog focuses on turntables. We wanted to hear about the speakers, and that's shown here. And Herb evidently did some interviews and why he felt that they were going to break out and do more to control the customer's experience. So here's an ad. This was seen in multiple catalogs. I found this multiple places. Here's an example of the 5000 for $180, the 7000 for $210, and the 9000 for $300. This blog goes into more details. Here's a picture of Herb Horowitz himself, the founder. They have some more interview information in here, which was quite interesting. You should read through this if you're so inclined. They talked a little bit about the turntables. I thought this was interesting here. He obviously had an eye for quality and wanted to control the quality. And so they brought all the speaker manufacturing under one roof so they could make cabinets, make drivers, populate them, test them, and take control of that. So that was, I think, a big thing for him. All right, if we look at the third part of this blog on the PS Audio site, gets into a little bit more detail of what happened. Actually, they talk about some more of the ads with the 4-channel speakers for quadraphonic. Right? If quadraphonic was something you were going to do, you needed 4 Empire speakers around your listening area. That was interesting. Here's a little bit more of a risque ad. Again, building on the quadraphonic theme. And I guess the idea was, well, if you needed 4 speakers, you wanted to have something that would work in your decor. They were going to become part of your room, right? In this blog is a picture of the Troubadour 598. You can still find these online. If you find one that still has really nice gold plating on it, or I should say gold colored plating, you should probably look at that seriously. I know from what I've read, they had a lot of problems with the plating flaking off and tarnishing, and they didn't survive well. If you take a look and read through this, you'll learn more about Herb. He probably got a little overextended, ended up selling the turntable part of the business. Then he left the company, worked at Harman, worked at Acoustic Research, went to Rotel of America, went to Cerwin-Vega, and went to Koss. So obviously he spent his whole life in audio, and I think we're all the better for it. Left quite a legacy. I would be remiss if I didn't point you to this last link in this blog.
This is an Audio Karma forum post. Someone with a significant amount of Empire turntable history, this guy right here, Empire Lover, has posted a fairly lengthy, detailed blog all about Empire turntables. So if you came to this video thinking you might learn more, go here if you want to know about turntables. The fact that this post is now 115 pages long with all the comments, that's actually pretty amazing. Probably one of the bigger Audio Karma posts that I've seen. So I hope that helps you understand Empire Scientific a little bit more. They don't seem to be doing anything audio anymore these days. It's just a company name, and they sell batteries or something. You couldn't find too much else out. Let's get back to our project, finish it off, and I can't wait to hear what these speakers truly sound like in their new improved condition. I've pulled the trigger on the refinishing, and here it is. I was taken by the piano black gloss lacquer on the Italian video, and I hate painting wood generally, and I looked at these for a while, and I did a quick little AI SketchUp. Actually, there's no AI, just a little photoshopping. And I had a vision of trying to get to gloss black, piano gloss black, but I love the wood. So I sketched it up with the Photoshop, and I realized that the walnut panels are in great shape. They're beautiful. They weren't dinged. There's maybe one or two little dings, nothing I couldn't touch up. But it was the poplar, the base, the top, and these vertical pieces are poplar stained walnut. Poplar stained with walnut stain. And those were the ones that had suffered the most damage and had, not survived well. So I thought, okay, let's go with the black on the poplar and leave the walnut. And so 2 hours of taping off. It took me an hour to tape off each one of these with the 7 panels. Simple black lacquer, another Home Depot purchase. I did the bases separately from the towers, and they came out great. So here you can see I've stripped this one. I'll strip this one off too. And I'm very happy with this as a result. I'm just doing some final touch-ups now on the mounting casting for the tweeter. Oh, that's right. You can't see which one it's in this one right here. So if we pull this off, we'll find that this is the one that needs some attention. So these it's just dust under here. But that's the tape off is all there is to it, and that mounting casting I'm doing some touch-ups on that, and we'll get that in there. The Empire emblem goes on right here. We'll get that back, and we'll be ready to put these back together shortly and have our listening session. I can't wait, actually. We're back. We've added those final caps we were missing, mounted the drivers back in, polished the marble, and reassembled. So here's our finished product. We'll do a quick tour and a listening session. I can't remember if I put up the electrical measurements, so I've got those here. I'll take a photo and post that up so you can see it. We've done some testing as well, and I will put a frequency plot up of the high frequency tweeter switch in the 3 different positions: normal, minus, and plus. And the one with the boost, you'll see at about 8K. It really keeps the 8K level up.
Otherwise, it drops off quite a bit, even starting around 4K. So I think that's is where it should be run, in the plus position. So that's where I've left them. Let's do a quick little tour around as well. Not everyone may appreciate the walnut with the black. I like it. However, the wood is looking quite nice. Here's the removable ports on the back that we read about in the stereo review. So these two are plugged. This one's plugged, and then this one has a mesh grill. So you can remove them all. I did pop them all out to see if I could detect anything different in the sound, and I really didn't hear anything. So quick check on the top. Beautiful travertine marble. I like that a lot. And I sealed the stone as well. Coming over on this side. You know, they have a really nice look to them. I enjoy the look. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to New to You Speakers and like the video. Thanks a lot. Bye now.